that so many people miss is that they think that they're not good enough, or they are not worthy of receiving these things or of living this life. And the thing is that you easily can, but it comes with a decision. It comes with a decision that you're fed up with settling for less, and that if somebody else can do it, why can't you? I'll tell you right now, I lived a majority of my life, up until honestly the past 3 or 4 years, where I was feeling like I wasn't even living like in my own body, if that makes sense. Like I felt like I was constantly shrinking myself. I was like, there has to be more, there has to be more. But I was so anxious, and I was dealing with depression because I was not happy with myself or my life. And it wasn't until I started to open my eyes to what else is out there, and I was like, there's no way that I'm going to settle for living this way. And so I didn't. And from that point forward was when I started looking at ways to make money online, because I was like, well, I'm seeing all over my algorithm, there's all these people making money online, so how are they doing it? I tried a few things. I tried drop shipping, I tried Etsy products, I tried digital products. I actually created a digital workbook called the 21-day transformation, 21-day wellness transformation. I'm forgetting what I called it, but I still have it. And that's where the term limitless came from. That's where I coined limitless. And little did I know that I would be led here to actually be coaching and transforming lives through the limitless name. But that's where it came from. And from there, I tried all these things, right? But what they don't tell you is that takes money, right? It takes money to make money either way, but it wasn't like I was going to be really, like, I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know if I, market to this audience, or if I feed these ads, or if I, there was just so many variables that don't come with high ticket sales. And with high ticket sales, so really what you just have to do is you have to be trained. So you have to learn how to actually sell. You can't just expect some business owner to put their own business on the line for you to, try to sell their premium programs. No, you have to be trained on actually how to sell. You have to know how to communicate. You have to learn how to understand people. So understand the person that you're AKA selling to, selling for is really how you should be putting that. And because you're not selling anything to anyone. Every single person that you speak to already wants what's being provided. You're just really guiding them, and you're their trusted advisor, so that they know if they actually want to do what they say they want to do or not. And so with that being said, back up a little bit. So with high ticket sales, I decided to be trained. I had to find the opportunities, and I had to be hired. And back then, there was a lot more limitations because the online space was still evolving. So versus now, where you go online and there's experts, businesses, coaches, agencies that all have programs, services, trainings that are available to the public. Because if you're a business and you're not online, you're losing so much revenue. And you're not able to reach as many people. You can reach way, way, way more people online than anywhere else. And so now with the businesses and coaches and experts and agencies being online way more now than when I first started high ticket sales, they are actually going straight to the programs to hire trained reps. But when I first started, it was a little bit harder than that to find a role, but still made it happen. And once I did so, I was starting to make money right away. It wasn't like, is this gonna work? No, it was, I'm hired onto a team, I'm onboarded, I understand what they're providing. For me, that was real estate development mentorship. So the mentorship essentially teaches others how to build homes from start to finish and build their portfolio. And it's not just like, here, this is how you do this. It's a full-on, like, there's one-on-one calls throughout every step of your build. There's group calls, there's a community, there's tools and resources, there's an entire Rolodex of contacts. So when you're building out your team to actually build these houses, you're not just like going and blindly hiring people that you shouldn't hire. You have connections to architects, suppliers, contractors. You have direct connections to business funding and to loans that you normally wouldn't be able to have access to unless you have experience. And that is the beauty of the online world, right? Is that these people who have these experiences, who had to go through the hurdles, go through the obstacles in order to build what they've built can now provide the education so that others don't have to go through those hurdles. That's why I love high ticket sales so much, is because you're always guiding someone to a transformation. You're always helping them in some sort of way, whether it is with a skill. So skills being real estate, business, so helping businesses scale, personal branding, UGC. I have a few girls that are on a UGC offer, TikTok, whatever it is. Or it's on the other side, which is self-development. So whether that's helping someone lose weight, it's a fitness coaching program, it's a life coaching program. There's so many out there these days. Just think of there's really anything and everything. Also, there's a monsoon, so we're gonna walk the other way. And Arizona for now. And so with that being said, I didn't have to go through all of these different hurdles that come with drop shipping, that come with Etsy products, that come with all the other online money making businesses. And I was also able to be myself. I was able to feel good with what I was doing. And one of the things that was most important to me when I left my 9-to-5 job was that I was going to be helping people. That was number one, because I came from a tech startup. Like, there's really no fulfillment there. It's very transactional. So I was a senior account manager at a tech startup, and I was working alongside the actual director of customer success. I started off on their sales team, actually, which is really kind of ironic. Sales team, but it was cold calling. No, I was not about to do cold calling. And so I actually did decent, and they just could tell I was not enjoying it. I was not about it. But the clients that I had sold were so dedicated to the business, and they had really, really, really positive things to say. So that's why they were like, do you want to come over to the account management side? And I was like, honestly, like, not really, but let's see how it goes. I ended up really liking it. It was because I was constantly communicating. I was constantly building relationships with these individuals and these business owners. And that skill translated super well into high ticket sales, because in high ticket sales, like I said, you're a trusted advisor. You're really guiding someone to a decision that one they already want to make, so you never ever use pressure tactics or manipulation or convincing. You don't have to do that, and I actually recommend against it, because it will work against you. These people are not stupid, and one, and two, that you don't have to do that. Really, what sales is it's guiding someone through a process of decision making. And these people, they already need and they already want what is being provided. You're just really their voice of reason. You're the person who's like, hey, this is how this is exactly going to work for you and for your case, especially because, okay, these are premium programs. They're usually anywhere between $5,000 all the way up to like $150,000. So if you think about it, let me ask you this. Let me ask the viewers this. If you were to go buy or invest into yourself, would you just invest $10,000 without speaking to someone first by just clicking a link in a bio? Absolutely not. I wouldn't. I have invested a ton into my skills, into my mindset, into all these different things. I have coaches, I have mentors, and that's how I've been able to grow to where I am now. And I would need to speak to someone. I spoke to someone first every single time. And it's because I needed clarity on if this was going to be right for me, how it exactly is going to work for me, and really just being able to connect with that person that I was speaking to. If I didn't feel like I was connecting with them, then that's where they're an extension of the business. So I wouldn't feel comfortable investing into the business. And that's why you're so valuable. That's why you're so important as a high ticket closer, is because you're that trusted advisor. You're that word of that voice of reason. And you also represent the business itself. So you have a very high level of importance. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where you're just another number. And not only that, getting into sales has expanded the way I see the world, the way that I show up as myself, more than anything else in my entire life ever has, in a very short amount of time. I mean, I use the house analogy. I don't know why I keep walking this way. Once you are so think of a house. think of a building. All you really see is the outside. You don't see the inside unless you're inside. You don't know what the interior holds. You don't know what doors are inside the house. You don't know what paintings are inside the house. But most importantly, doors. Because in sales, you only see what you see on the outside. You only see the lifestyle that people are living that are in sales. You only see the way that they speak about sales. You only see what you are able to see about sales in general. You don't see what it's actually like on the inside unless you're you're on the inside. And with sales, for me, I was like, I don't even know if I'd like to do sales again. Like, based on my perception. But when I was inside, my perception shifted. Most importantly, I saw so many doors of opportunities that I would have never even known existed if I wouldn't have stepped inside the house. If I wouldn't have just said, you know what, I'm going to learn the skill. I don't know how it's exactly going to turn out for me, but what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and be miserable at my 9-to-5 job and wonder what my life could potentially be? Or am I going to get inside that house, see what it's all about, make things happen for myself, and see where life takes me, because I know that there's more. And there is more. I'll tell you that. And not only was there a ton of doors of opportunity opening for me, where I was able to, or now, I mean, when you learn a skill, you become an asset. So you become an asset to business owners, where if you were not so passionate about the offer you were closing for, let's say 6 months down the line, you get some results, you've generated revenue, you now are seen as an even more valuable asset to other businesses. So you're never locked, you're never stuck, you're never stagnant, you're always growing, and you always have the ability to grow even more. And on top of that comes opportunities. Business owners talk, sales reps talk, sales managers talk, CEOs talk, and you never know where that could lead. Secondly is the mindset piece. Not only does your perception of sales widen and change, but so does your perception of what is possible. Your own self-belief expands in a way that you would never know unless you were actually actively inside. And I know this is probably hard to kind of understand, but when I became a part of the first closing team that I was a part of, the CEO of the business, 21 years old, I know it sounds insane, 21 years old, the most wise person I've ever met in my entire life, taught me things about myself, taught me things about life, about God, that I would have never, ever, ever known, to the point where my entire mindset was shifted. In the sense of, one, I realized what was possible for myself, and I realized what I was capable of, and he believed in me, and so did my team. Secondly was how much is out there for us that we don't see when we're constantly stuck in a system. We're stuck in a system, we're stuck believing that it takes so much hard work. People are lucky. People are, they're born into wealth, or if they were born in a certain family with, where they struggled, where the scarcity was very present, that they don't have the same level of opportunities as others who were born into more wealthy families. But the truth is that that's so far from the truth. It's so far from the truth. And I would have never realized this if I wouldn't have stepped into sales, if I wouldn't have stepped into the house. And then it comes down to also my team. The other closer who was closing with me, she opened my eyes, and she showed me what a true friendship looked like. Because I had friends, trust me, I had so many friends. I was that person that had so many friends, but when I tell you that if I wasn't able to do anything for them, it didn't matter. They were party friends. There was no substance there was no depth, there was no purpose. And I had to leave all that behind. But I'm so glad that I did, because that one person which was the girl I was closing alongside with, was able to compensate, was able to fill that with just herself, and was better. This sounds horrible, but it was a better friendship than any of my other existing friendships. And she also expanded my knowledge and expanded my viewpoint and deepened my faith with God. And that was something that was really, 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 it really started to completely just shift how I lived. I no longer lived in fear. I was no longer in fight or flight mode, which a lot of us, we feel that way because that's how we were raised. We were raised in a family that struggled, or we were raised again with these instilled beliefs. And she really showed me a different way of living, a different way of ideology, and on top of that, my relationship with God deepened. And then there was the setter, so the person who set the calls for me, who also completely opened my eyes to just that there's endless possibilities in sales. There really is. You never have to stop learning. And I actually recommend you never stop learning, because that's where you limit your potential. You can constantly learn different methods. You can constantly learn how to deepen your way of understanding others, your own confidence, always. And that's the best part about the career, is that you're never capped on your income. One, you can earn as much or as little as you want. And two, you're never capped on your potential. And you can really take it as far as you'd like. And you're not trading your time for money. Instead, you get out what you put in. And if you're wanting to take a slower week where, let's say you're traveling. I mean, last summer I traveled to Europe and I took like maybe 6 sales calls the entire 3 weeks I was there. No, that's wrong. I probably took maybe 12 sales calls for the entire 3 weeks I was there. So that's very little. And my close rate was super high. I think it was like a 75%. And it's because I was free. It's because I was free. I was able to work from my laptop from Europe. Like, I worked in a cafe in Lisbon, Portugal that turned into a like dining bar at night. I worked from a restaurant in Milan, Italy, and I worked from the train between Lisbon and between Porto, Portugal. Amazing place. If you've never seen, look it up. And it's just when you're able to expand your mind, I got cut off. When you're able to expand your mind while also traveling, while also experiencing new things, you're building new neurological pathways in your brain. Look this up. It's actual science here. And that in itself, like I said, is freedom. It's also the freedom to be who you are. I close the most deals, and I've tested this, when I'm myself, when I'm not trying to perform, when I'm not trying to follow a script, when I'm really just trying to understand the other person and connect with them. Everything is energy, and when you lean into that, you are going to see, you're going to reap the results. You're going to see what is possible. And if you think about it, a lot of 9-to-5 jobs, they tell you, hey, don't be too emotional, do this, do that. You know, you're having to show up this way and that way, and that's why you're not happy. That's why you're not performing to the best of your ability, is because you're forced to be a certain way. And with that being said as well, is you have you build your confidence. Your confidence not only affects your ability to sell or your ability to do sales, but it also affects all areas of your life. So before sales, I used to be very self-conscious. I used to be one of those people that was like, I don't know if I'm deserving of good things, as sad as it sounds. And with that, I attracted a lot of not so great relationships into my life. People that took advantage of me, people that didn't respect me, because I didn't even respect myself. And sales expanded my capacity. Oh gosh. Oh boy. Sales expanded my capacity to hold more and to show up as more and to really start to build that confidence on me, because the thing is when you start to close deals, your dopamine increases and you realize what is possible, what you're capable of. And from there you just gain momentum, but then you start to show up differently. You start to show up differently in your relationships, in your friendships. You start attracting more positive and better things into your life naturally without force. And that's also what comes with expanding your mindset. And this is why I focus so heavily on mindset, all the way down to nervous system regulation, because your mind, your body are equally as connected. And we store so much in our bodies from a very young age, from the programming that is instilled within us, trauma, etc. Even things you carry down. And in order to expand your ability to hold more and to grow your income, you have to be able to expand. And you can't expand if you're holding too much, and if you're capped in your body too, and in your mind. And you master your mindset, you master your skills, you master your abilities, and you master your life. And without it, you can learn all the sales scripts, you can learn all the sales techniques. You're not going to get very far though. That's where people cap out. That's where people cap out at 10K a month. That's the only thing between those who are doing 10K versus 50 or 100K a month. Seriously. And so focus heavily on that. But all in all, let me wrap this up because I'm walking around like a literal crazy person outside my apartment complex. And there's a monsoon, so I keep getting sand in my face. All in all, sales is the limitless vehicle. It's a limitless vehicle, and the reason why it is because you have uncapped earning, but you also have uncapped growth potential, and you're able to live up to your potential, whatever that might look like. And it's one step below entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship is a whole other beast, I'll tell you that. So down below, if you're interested in potentially exploring high ticket sales and what it can do for you, go ahead, fill out the form below, and I'll potentially have a call with you and see you on the other side.